Hello. Hello, good evening. Hello. Hello, good evening. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, good evening. Good evening, everybody. You're welcome to
Good evening,
this.
sir.
You're welcome to this week's review, FX review for the 18th to 22nd of July 2022 with Great White FX. Thank you all for taking your time to attend. So we'll be going over NASDAQ, dollar index, Euro USD, GBP USD, gold, Euro GBP, GBPCHF, and pound yen. So without taking too much of your time, I hope everybody can hear me clearly and see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so without taking too much of your time, let's get down to the pairs that we have. So we're going to start off with NASDAQ. So if we look at NASDAQ, NASDAQ still has a bearish bias. We have a break of structure at this point, and we have a break of structure at this point. So this pair is still tilted to the downside. If we go on the daily time frame, this is the dealing range high at 1.1294.6, and this is the dealing range low. So we can see that price is kind of like in a range, kind of like it has not made any new high, it has not made any new low. But one thing you need to note is that price is making higher highs and he's making lower highs. So it's more like it's a convergence of sort. So this pair, since he's making higher highs and lower highs, he might most likely be running for this upside liquidity. But it's still tilted to the downside. But if we go down now to the 4-hour time frame on the dollar, on the NASDAQ, you can see that it's more like a range. And it's steadily making higher highs, higher lows. So that means most likely they are gunning for this upside liquidity here. Price is gunning for the liquidity above this area. That's 1.1292. They might gun for this liquidity going into the new week. So looking at this now, if you put in your annotations, there is a 4-hour bearish order blocking. So if this area gets rejected by price, as if price can't break through, you'll be looking for any of these areas down here for possible long opportunity on NASDAQ. That's in line with the higher lows. So if that should happen, you'll be looking at this area or this area as your drawn liquidity. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is the dollar index. So if we look at the dollar index, it still has a bullish bias. The structure on the weekly is still bullish. If we look at the daily, the bias is still bullish. But last week, Friday closed as a bearish engulfing with a higher upper week. And if you notice, price closed below that week low. So that is a sign that we might, although this is bear bullish, we might still see a little correction this week, but this pair is still very, very bullish. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, if we look at price, for this pair to be bearish, 104.47 has to be broken. Once they break it, then you have a change of character on the 4-hour, and then there's a possibility we might see steeper retracement. So if you put in your annotations on it, this is what you would most likely have. There is a 1-hour bullish order blocker. There's a 1 hour bullish order block. So price is coming into it. If this area holds as support for price, there's a likelihood that price may run up to this area. But should this area fail, then we might be looking at a short-term high on the dollar index at this point. And that means that what you might be looking for, more you might be seeing next week is something like this, then like this, then the move lower. But for now, as long as this area, as long as 104.47 holds on the dollar index, that price does not close below it, we're still bullish on the dollar index. This might just pass for a retracement and a continuation to the upside. Price has not made a lower low below this. So this technically is still bullish. So the next way we're going to look at is Euro USD. So looking at the Euro USD, if we look at the Euro USD from the weekly setup, the structure is still on the downside. There's no new high on the weekly time frame. If we also go to the daily, there is no new high on the daily. After this break here, there's no new bullish high on the daily. But if we look at the daily, it has a kind of like a morning star, sort of morning star formation on the daily. But this is a candle formation, but we need structure to confirm it. So if we go down to the 4 hour time frame, let's look at the 4 hour time frame. The 4 hour time frame is still tilted to the downside. We need price above 1.0122 to confirm a change in character on the 4 hour, but we don't have that yet. But if we look at the 1 hour, this swing high that was used to take liquidity below this level, price has already closed above it. So on the 1 hour, we have a change of character, but we did not have a break of market structure. So you might have a change of character, but without a break of market structure, what this might just be a liquidity grab above this level, and price may just move back down. So this pair is still technically bearish. So if you put in your annotations, this is what we have here. We have this 1 hour bearish order block here. Price rallied into there. That was what caused this drop. So from this range high to this range low, this is the dealing range. And price, if you notice, is at the premium point. So if price cannot break this level, then you wait to see. Price might most likely go back down. But if price is able to break above this level, then we have a short-term low here. Then what you'll be waiting for is any rally will be, once price starts coming down, you look for opportunity to buy to continue to the upside. But for now, the Euro USD is still technically bearish. If it fails to break above here, most likely you'll be looking for moves to the downside. So the GBPUSD is still bearish. Let's look at it from the higher time frame. It's still bearish and it's still looking at this level. I believe this pair might still move lower. It might still move lower. If we look at it on the daily, there's no new high. The market structure, it's breaking lows. That points to further weakness on price, no new highs. But if we look at it on the 1 hour time frame, let's look at it on the 4 hour time frame. On the 4 hour time frame, this is your dealing range high, 1.1967 to this low here at 1.1760. And if you look at price, is almost at the equilibrium of this range. Let me see. Price is almost at the equilibrium of this range. So let me use this. Yes, price is at the equilibrium. Just like I said, price is at the equilibrium. So if price, and there's no change of character on the 4 hour, but we have a not so strong, it's not so confirmed yet. Because this is the swing high that was used to make this swing low. Price has not yet closed above it. So until price closes above this high here, we cannot say we have a change of character here. So this might be this area that's this bearish order block. If it fails to hold price and price starts to drop, then you watch this 1 hour bullish order block. If this 1 hour order block fails to hold price, then we might see price move down here. The thing is that the distance between this range low to this range high is very small. So you just need to be careful with this pair. I believe this pair is still going to move lower. So the next pair we're going to look at is gold. So if we look at gold, gold from the weekly is approaching this area here. I believe it might still come down to this level. It may still come down to this level as for gold. So for this pair, this pair is still tilted to the downside. If we look at it on the daily time frame, there's no new high on this pair. It's breaking all the lows. The same thing too with the 1 hour. Let me use the 4 hour time frame. The same thing with the 4 hour time frame. This is your dealing range high, 1745 to dealing range low, 1.1697. So as you can see, price is at the lower end of it. So if you put in your annotations, this is where price is. So most likely this pair is still tilted to the downside, but it may correct a bit. As you can see, he has made a higher low. Once this level here, 16.67 is broken by price, then we have a change of character, and then there's a possibility you're going to see something like this. Then it moves to the upside. So that's the situation we have on gold. Gold is still bearish, but it may correct a bit. It may rebalance this area here before moving back down. So the next one we're going to look at is Euro GBP. Looking at this pair from the weekly time frame, this pair has a new high here, a higher high here above all this. So technically he's still bullish. Technically he's still bullish, but if you look at this down candle here, this was the swing low before this swing high. Price has broken below it. So that's weakness on this pair. So there's a possibility that any rally on this pair might be sold off. But let's go down to the daily time frame. If we go down to the daily time frame, just like I was saying, this swing low that made this swing high, price has closed back below it. And if you notice, it's a failed order block. So you might extend this out as long as price stays within the body of this down candle. That's this last down candle before this up move. There's a possibility this pair might still roll over. There's a possibility it might still roll over. But technically, it's still bullish. This is the daily range low. This is the daily range high. What you're looking at is a kind of retracement, but it needs to move above this level. If not, it may retrace lower before moving back higher. And we have liquidity below these 2 points. Below these 2 points. So price may just try to pick this liquidity here. Yes, there's liquidity with imbalance. So price may try to sweep it, then move back higher. So this pair is still suspect. It has break of character. It has a change of character to the downside. So any rally on this pair might be a move to go lower. So if we go down to the 4 hour time frame, now this is where it gets interesting. We have a low, we have a high, we have a lower low, then we have a higher high. So on the 4 hour, there's a possibility that we might be looking at a short-term low at 0.8403. So that will mean that any retracement on this pair might be an opportunity to move higher. So if you put in your annotations, we have 4 hour bearish order block. Okay? So if price comes in here and finds support, then that means price may rally up into this. You have this bullish order block here, 4 hour bullish order block, and this lower here. So either of this is where you'll be looking for long opportunity to maybe this high or to fill this imbalance here on the 4 hour. So for this pair, for now on the 4 hour, we have a short-term, a minor structure on the upside. Major structure on this pair is to the downside, but we have a minor structure on the upside clearly on the 4-hour. We have a break. This is a turtle soup. Price swept all these lows and closed back above. So any down move on this pair will be an opportunity to go higher. Hello, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the last, but not okay. We still have pound yen. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is GBPCHF. So if we look at this pair is still tilted to the downside. Structure on it is to the downside. It's still bearish. If we look at it on the daily, structure on it is still bearish. It's not making new highs. Instead, it's making lower highs, no higher highs yet. But there's something you're going to see on the 4-hour. So if we look at this pair now on the 4-hour time frame. If we look at this pair now on the 4-hour time frame, this swing low here was used to take out this liquidity. And definitely price is making lower highs. But price now rebounded and took out this swing high. And when price corrected, it didn't take out this previous low. Instead, it created a higher high. So on this pair, you have a change of character and a break of market structure here. So there's a possibility that this pair may correct to either of this high, that's either 1712 as corrective basis or 1774. 1777, 1.1777, either of these high. Because if you look at this pair, you have a change of character here. You have a break of market structure here. So this is a retracement to fill this imbalance. And if you notice, there's a 4-hour fair value gap here. Fair value gap with bullish order block. So you can see price has tapped into it. So if we look at this on the 1-hour time frame, we can see that there is a small bullish order block here. So if this holds as a bullish setup, if you are aggressive, if you take a long here, just be rest assured your stop loss is going to go below here. But to be on the safe side, wait for price to break this 1-hour swing high. That is at 1625. Once price breaks it, wait for something like this. Then you start taking your long position. So last but not the least, pound yen. This pair is giving a lot of mixed signals. If you look at it on the daily time frame, you have wicks to the downside. Technically, he's still bullish, but he has not made any new significant high, and he has not made any new significant low on the weekly. So it's more like neutral. It can go anywhere on the weekly time frame. If we look at it on the daily time frame, you can see this is the range high, this is the range low. It's within that. So it's more like ranging on the daily. The next we're going to look at it is on the 4-hour time frame. So if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that there's a break of market structure here slightly, but we still have this high. Price has not closed above it. And if you put in your annotations, there's a 4-hour bearish order block here. So if price gets rejected from here the second time, you look for bearish evidence. This will be your first exit, as if you sell from here. If this area fails, if price fails to break above it, then you might see a bit of a retracement down into this level. If this level holds, then you can take a long position, maybe to this high or into this structure point. But should price break this bearish order block on the 4-hour, you still have one up here. So there's a possibility that this may happen. You might see a liquidity sweep above these two highs, run into here, then price may give you something like this and come back down. That is if it breaks above this 4-hour bearish order block. So that settles it for this night. So I thank everybody for taking their time to attend. I wish you all a blessed and beautiful week ahead. The review will be posted on the YouTube channel. So do well to take your time to watch it and like the video. So thank you all, everybody. Wish you all a beautiful night's sleep and a blessed week ahead. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.